Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Surrey Police Live. Thanks ever so much for joining us this evening. This is episode 3, actually, of season 1, like all good Netflix series. So a very warm welcome to you all. I am Temporary Assistant Chief Constable Ali Barlow, and joining me this evening, where we are going to be talking about how you can contact Surrey Police and some of the ways that people call us and some of the questions that they ask us and some of the help that we give. Joining me this evening is, to my left, do you want to introduce yourself, Amber?
Yep. So I'm Amber. I've worked at the Contact Centre for about 3.5 years now as both a call handler and recently on the digital social media side of things.
Brilliant, and we'll hear more about that later on. So
Yep.
Thanks for joining us. And also to my right here is Gemma. Gemma, do you want to say a little bit about yourself?
Yep, hello, I'm Gemma. I'm one of the Contact Centre Performance Managers. I've worked for Surrey Police for 16 years actually, so yeah.
Great. So thanks ever so much, Amber and Gemma, for joining us this evening. So before we get going, just a few bits to tell you about in terms of what we'll be covering this evening. There is a quiz coming up. I know we all love a quiz, so make sure you get your phones out and visit slido.com. If you haven't already downloaded that, please do. And you can enter hashtag Surrey Police Live within slido.com, and we'll come to that shortly. But it just means that you can then contact us with any comments. So please download Slido if you haven't already. Also, this, as I think I might have said, is being streamed live on YouTube and Facebook. So please put any questions in the comments below, and we'll make sure that we answer them in the last part of the show. And also, don't forget to stick around because we've got something called Dog of the Week. And this week it's Police Dog Reno. So let's wait to see what happens with that. So anyone contacting police does so for a number of reasons, in an emergency, in a non-emergency situation. But we are often the one and only time that people like to call us, feel they really need to call us. So let's just talk about a little bit about what it means to contact the police. And I'll just give you some facts, first of all, before I ask Gemma and Amber more about their roles within the Surrey Police Contact Centre. So on average, in Surrey Police, we receive around 1,000 what we call 101 non-emergency calls, and roughly about 400 999 emergency calls a day. And so to put this in context, so for the next hour you are with us, and this time last week we had 36 999 calls within the time that we were doing the Surrey Police Live, and we had 62 101 non-emergency calls, and also we took 121 social media message contacts and 16 live chats within our website. So there are lots and lots of ways in which you can now contact Surrey Police. So we're really, really keen to make sure that after tonight's episode you understand more about how you can contact us and some of the amazing work that goes on within the Surrey Police Contact and Deployment team. So in terms of demand, as you can probably imagine, it is quite high, and the 999 service nationally has seen 2 of the busiest days on record recently. So let's show you a little bit more about behind the scenes in the contact centre and how you can help us to help you. So let me start really with Gemma, I think, as one of the supervisors in the contact centre, and you've been with the force, as you said, for a number of years. So Gemma, there are a number of ways in which the public who are watching tonight can contact Surrey Police. So tell me a little bit about the ways that they can, firstly, I guess, by the telephone.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously if it's an emergency, we always tell people to ring 999. That's the most important service I think that we offer. We also have our non-urgent telephone line that you've mentioned there as well, and we have moved into the 21st century and are available on social media platforms and online. So we can be contacted via Facebook, Twitter, live chat, which is on our website, and you can also report via our website any crimes or incidents, and you can ask for advice. And our website is a national police website, and there's a vast amount of information on there that can often answer a lot of queries that people have. We went live with the digital team in June last year, and Amber is actually one of the operators that has transitioned from phone operating onto the digital team, so she may.
Okay. So Amber, as Gemma has just said, obviously we know that we can, contact police via 999 in an emergency or via 101 non-emergency. And we went live with our what we have been calling our digital 101 service in June last year in the middle of the pandemic. So
Yes.
tell us a little bit more about your role and how you deal with that in the contact centre.
Okay. So as someone that sort of answers phones and deals with digital, sometimes 1 week the other week the other sort of thing, I have to say that I think digital is actually more efficient in terms of dealing with members of the public.
Okay. How do you feel it's more efficient then?
Because so when you're on the phone, you get the call and you kind of have to deal with the call in its entirety, take the whole thing, which can sometimes take sort of 10, 15 minutes. Whereas when you're on Facebook, Twitter and live chat, you can sometimes talk to maybe 4, 5, even 6 sometimes people at a time, because you can message someone while you're waiting for them to reply. You can take a live chat and you can sort of respond to another comment at the same time, and
that's brilliant,
it's
being
just
able
good
to talk to different people at different times, I guess, on different channels.
Because I think it helps cut the queue down as well. So we get a lot of sort of emergency calls queuing when it's particularly busy.
Yeah.
But with the social media, you can kind of respond to multiple things at once, and I feel like it helps to kind of make it a bit quicker, because you can, as you say, you can do something on Facebook, Twitter and live chat at the same time. And
Okay.
it's just
And I guess the people that are like yourself that are dealing with that social media contact, you still also are someone that takes calls, so it's not like we've got different people, you're all in the same room, is
Yeah.
that right?
So, like I say, 1 week I might be sort of answering Facebook messages, and then the next week I'll be back taking emergency calls, non-emergency calls, and we're all the same team. So, for instance, I might take a message on someone on Facebook asking if we can call them, and then I'll just pass it on to a colleague that deals in the same room with calls, and they'll be able to call back out to them, essentially.
So that's the key point really, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
not separate teams doing it.
Yeah, it's
You're all part
together.
of the same team, working together. It's just that on that particular shift, you are dealing with the social media contact.
Yes.
So you've all got the same training, all dealing with the same issues. It's just another means for members of the public to contact
Yeah.
us.
And if anything, it's faster, because if they're asking for advice that's not a police matter, we can link them to where they need to go, be it sort of the council website or sort of advice on driving licences, that kind of thing. Rather than try explain over the phone, we can say, if you're looking for this information, you can go here. And what would potentially be a 15-minute phone conversation is now a 2-minute, here's a link, off you go, sort of thing,
Okay.
So it's good.
There we are then, everyone. For those that didn't know, Surrey Police is now contactable online. And you've just heard it there from Amber, a really quick system, able to communicate very quickly. So a really good way of contacting.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So Gemma, as a supervisor, how have you found the new digital process within the contact centre? Have you seen that it's really efficient?
Yeah, absolutely. Like Amber says, they're able to deal with multiple contacts all at once. It allows us to risk assess the incoming demand much quicker. We can then prioritise the contacts, and we can get through the demand much quicker than we can on the phone. It's a bit like imagining a supermarket. If there's only one checkout open and that's your only option to go through, then you have to queue, and that one poor checkout operator is sat there trying to hurry everyone along but offer the best service they can. And then if the supermarket suddenly opens up with the self-checkout, if you don't want to queue, in that queue you can go and self-checkout and self-serve. And that's pretty much what the digital team do and the online reporting does. You can, we've moved into the 21st century, and you now contact your doctor, your bank, everything online. You can now speak to the police online. And it's important that people know that they will get the exact same service that they would should they ring 999 or 101. It is the same operators, and you will get they're the same highly trained, skilled staff. And just because you've contacted us on Facebook or Twitter, it doesn't mean that you won't get the exact same response. If you need the police, we will absolutely send someone.
That's fantastic. It just means that, like everything, we are there 24/7 when people need us. But what we've done now is we've opened up other opportunities and other channels for the public to be able to get hold of us. That's
Absolutely.
right, isn't it?
And I
Okay.
think as well, just to follow off on that is what digital also does is it allows people that have perhaps struggled to make phone calls or contact us previously, it gives them another channel, whether it be that they have a disability or whether it be that they're in a situation that they cannot speak. So it could be that they feel vulnerable to a circumstance or they're suffering from abuse. This gives them another method to contact us. And again, we will absolutely be there and risk assess their contact. And what it does is it allows those that need us to go through the online channels, and it frees up some of the phone lines for those that can't go online.
Brilliant. Thanks ever so much for that, Gemma. So as you've heard, lots of ways in which you can contact Surrey Police. And also we still have our police stations, so you can come into front counters to contact us. But as we've heard, by the phone and via social media, we are there 24/7 whenever you need us. So earlier this week, our Deputy Chief Constable, Nev Kemp, he visited colleagues in the contact centre. He met some of the team, and to hear about some of the pressures they're under, and also to thank them for their amazing work, particularly over the last 16 months where we've all been obviously met by the challenges of the pandemic. So when he visited the contact centre, we sent a film crew with him, and this is what he had to say.
So I just want to say to everybody in Surrey that if you need to contact Surrey Police in an emergency, we will always be there for you. Use 999 if you have to and it's an emergency. But if it's not, there are other ways to contact us. You can do it online through our live chat. You can use Facebook or Twitter private messaging. And of course you can ring us on 101 if you need to use the phone. It's the same professional team of people that will be dealing with you however you contact us. But what I would say is if you can contact us digitally or online, please do so. It's a more efficient and effective way of contacting us. It's better for you and it's also better for us. And it means that we can keep our phone lines clear and answer them more quickly for those who can't contact us digitally and really have one option of using the phone.
So let's talk now about how you would contact the police if you have communication difficulties. So if you have speech, hearing or communication difficulties, you can send us a message through our website or privately on Facebook or Twitter. However, it may help you to know how to contact us in an emergency using an emergency SMS text message or by using a relay assistant. You need to register in advance to use the emergency SMS service. Send the word register to 999. You will get a text message back which you need to read and then reply with yes. You will then get a second text that will tell you that you have been successful. You can check at any time if you are registered by sending the word register to 999. But if you send anything else, it will be dealt with as an emergency contact. So set up your mobile now by sending register to 999. If you already use a text phone or the Relay UK app, this is a quicker way to contact us in an emergency than a text message. On a text phone, dial 18000 instead of the normal 18001. you will see emergency, which service on your screen. The text phone will connect you to 999 and a relay assistant. Tell them which service you need and follow the responses on the text phone. They will connect you to the right emergency service. On the Relay UK app, either tap the 999 button and confirm you want to make an emergency call, or call 18000 from the dialer. Click Join in the app window and you'll connect to 999 and a relay assistant. Tell them which service you need and follow the responses on the app's conversation window. They will connect you to the right emergency service. If you have communication difficulties, you may also benefit from registering for a Pegasus card. And how to register. If you have speech or communication difficulties, registering for a Pegasus card could help you in an emergency. You give the police your details by registering through the Surrey Police website. The police save your personal details in a secure database. You will then be issued with a personal identification number, PIN, that you will then use when contacting the police. If you need to contact them, you tell the police your PIN. They can then access your details straight away. This means that you don't have to spend time giving your name and details, and you can quickly tell them why you need their help. Pegasus is not just about contacting the police by phone. You can also show your card to a police officer, member of police staff or other emergency services staff should you require assistance in person. Okay, welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. And I've been joined by two more of my colleagues from the contact department in Zoe here. I don't know if you can see her, Zoe, and Cass. So welcome to both of you. So earlier on, I was telling the audience about some of the volumes of the calls that we get every single day into the contact centre, and also some of the digital contacts that we've been getting since June last year when we went live with our digital 101 service and through social media. So Zoe, with obviously all of those calls and that demand coming in, we need to risk assess each one, don't we?
Absolutely.
We need to see what threat and harm and risk there is in what members of the public are telling us. So tell us a little bit about that. You know, how do we make that risk assessment?
Yes, I mean, and you'll find that when members of the public do call in to us, or whatever platform they choose to reach us on, we will ask a lot of questions to obtain as much information as possible. We complete a risk assessment on every incident and or crime that is reported to us. In order to do that, we have to break our risk assessment down into 6 sections. So we have to look at the threat, which is someone or something that poses a danger towards either another person or property, or have some kind of impact somewhere. We then have to assess the harm that might cause, and we're looking at really what that threat was towards. So is it towards another person? Is it towards someone's property? Is it towards a community in general? And when we say about harm, it could be minor injury to a person, it could be minor damage, serious damage, destruction of property. And when we talk about community impact, that's where we would talk maybe about antisocial behaviour, where it's affecting more than one person and what kind of impact that would have as a whole. We then have to assess what risk we're looking at, so whether that is high, medium or low, and that's where if the threat is likely to be carried out, medium if it could go either way, or it would be high if we feel it's very likely to happen. But with that being said, we also have to take into account what our policing powers are, what legislations we have in place. It may be we have an incident where we would actually deem it to be a low risk based on the information we have. However, our policies and procedures may dictate that we need to do something or take further action that's more of a priority. We'd also have to look at what positive lines of inquiries we have. So whether that be CCTV, witnesses, forensic evidence, all of that has to come into play when we're risk assessing, because that may actually change the way we actually deal with something. We would also have to consider vulnerabilities. Now, this may not necessarily be you considering yourself to be vulnerable. It could be the situation that you're in that would make you more vulnerable. We'd have to look at family situations, whether children involved in an incident, or we would have to look at whether someone is feeling that they're repeatedly targeted for a particular reason. That plays a massive part in our actual decision-making process. Once we've got all of that information to hand, we would then decide how we're actually going to deal with it. So would it be that we need to deploy an officer to come and see you, or someone from another department that would be more appropriate to come and see you? Would we refer you to another agency that would be more appropriate to give you the help that you need? Or it could be that we can completely resolve it on the telephone with you at the first point of contact. But each call or contact is risk assessed on its own merits, and it's very important that when you do contact us, you give us as much information as possible so that we can fully risk assess the situation to make sure we're making the right decision for you.
You've given a really great explanation there, and I know that we in policing nationally call that our Thrive risk assessment. So what you're basically saying, Zoe, is it doesn't matter how anyone contacts Surrey Police or any police force, you will always go through that process, whether it's on the telephone or via social media. You will risk assess everything on the basis of the information that you're given.
Absolutely. And if you were to take the policing side of it away, I think we all risk assess in our daily lives in general.
Of course.
Something as simple as going to cross a road, for example. You might when you come up to the road, you might think to yourself, is this a busy road? Is it in a quiet cul-de-sac? What time of day is it? How many vehicles are driving around? If you're maybe going to cross the road and you've got 2 schools either side, you can have more traffic around. Are they driving at the appropriate speed limit, and so on? There's going to be so many factors you think about before you just simply cross a road. And if we go to sort of vulnerabilities, just to show that you don't necessarily have to class yourself as vulnerable. So, for example, I'm actually deaf in one ear. So crossing a road, for example, doesn't make me vulnerable at all. However, if I'm crossing a road with Cass, for example, it's a one-way street. I don't think to look right, because why would a car come down the wrong way down the road? But I can't hear traffic coming from my right-hand side, so that actually places me in a more vulnerable position than it would for Cass, who could actually hear that traffic coming. So that's just the way our thought process around.
And of course, when you become a call handler, you are given lots of training. So while some of it will be common sense, you're given lots and lots of training to be able to make those risk assessments. And as you build up your experience, that just helps with your risk assessment process going forward.
We literally will start risk assessing from the moment we start speaking to someone. And I know it can get frustrating. Some people might think, why are we asking so many questions? But it really does help us build a bigger picture. And we might be doing other things in the background that may not necessarily be obvious. But it really just helps us make sure we're doing the right thing by the member of the public that we're speaking to.
So once you've made that decision, then this is definitely something that police need to attend. Then it will go to our colleagues into the force control room, who are then responsible for then sending police resources out to that person that's called us for help. So Cass, we talk in policing about different grades of response, emergency response, etc. So we talk about, for example, a grade 1 response. Could you just tell those that are watching tonight what the sort of differences are between the types of response policing can give?
Yeah, of course. So in the contact world, we break our grading down into about 4 sections.
Yeah.
So 1 being the highest, 4 being the lowest. And a grade 1 incident would be something where the risk, and Zoe said with the 5 risk assessment, the risk would be high, and we need to get there as soon as possible to prevent any further damage or harm to some people or property. So we need to treat that as urgently as possible and get there as soon as possible.
So that's where we normally see police vehicles on, blue lights with sirens, etc. So your grade 1 is your emergency response.
Yes, that's the highest response we have. So, and then moving down the scale, so if you're going to grade something as a grade 2, you would have still done the risk assessment to identify the threat and risk, and you probably come to the decision at that point that yes, we need to prompt a response to address the matter or speak to the people involved. However, it doesn't justify an immediate response based on the risk that is there at the time.
Okay. And then presumably when you've got those that are, perhaps we still need to deal with it, but it doesn't require police attendance, that's what we would call our grade 4 responses.
So that would be grade 3 response.
Grade 3
response where we maybe go off to different departments and send it as a slower time response. It doesn't mean it's treated any less seriously. It's just how we alternate our response to the risk involved. So in that circumstance, it would be something where the person might be safe. There's no immediate threat to that person, but it's something that we need to address. Okay. An example I can give is someone reporting a historic offence where the offender and the victim aren't together, and they need to be seen because of the seriousness of the allegation, but the risk is not there for us to attend straight away. And in doing that, we can also make sure we send it off to the correct department to get the more appropriate help as well.
So really, we're risk assessing all the time. So, as Zoe has said, it's when the first call comes in, it's making sure that we're getting as much information as possible, because then that helps inform what type of response we are then going to give to that member of the public, or whether it's, like you said, Zoe, more appropriate that it goes to another agency or one of our partners, for example.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Cass, obviously, you do all this risk assessing within the contact centre. if it is something that we're going to send a police officer to, the incident report will get sent to our colleagues in the force control room, who are the people who are in radio contact then with the officers and staff who are out and about in our communities within Surrey. But we've also got other departments, haven't we, within the contact management team, such as our recently introduced incident review team, for example. Do you want to say a little bit more about what that team is doing?
Yeah, so the incident review team, along with another department called the occurrence management team, they really deal with the jobs that the risk is low, but we need to address concerns. And both teams work in conjunction with each other in terms of, if there's inquiries that can be carried out, by people in the office, such as CCTV inquiries of the local council, we can then do that in office instead of using a resource as a police officer and send it off to a police officer when we have the evidence to investigate. So there's a review function of it, but there's also an investigative function of it as well.
So really all these teams are coming together to ensure that it doesn't matter how you contact the police, that we're working as a team to make sure the right response is given to the right incident, making sure that we are giving the very best service that we can, essentially. So it's a real team effort from the moment that first call or that contact is made.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. So thank you very much for giving us that information. And as I said at the start of this session, please do send your questions in. If you've got any questions or comments, we will definitely come back to that at the start of the show, at the end of the show, sorry. So anything that my colleagues have said here this evening, if you've got any questions, please do type them, and we'll do our very best to answer them when we get to the close of this hour session. So we've obviously spoken about how the Force Control Room, Incident Review Team and the Occurrence Management Team work with the other departments, but it's now time for you at home. So we've got some great questions already coming in, I can see from our YouTube and Facebook feeds. But in the meantime, now this is over to you and to see how much you've been listening to what we've been saying so far. So it's time for us now to test you out there at home. So as I said earlier, if you haven't already visited slido.com, please do and enter the code #SurreyPoliceLive. And then if you have done that, you should be seeing the first question on the screen. So what we're going to do now is go back to the contact centre to hear what our Deputy Chief Constable, Mr. Kemp, has been dealing with when he was visiting our colleagues earlier in the week.
A man has contacted us to tell us that a wheelbarrow has fallen off the back of a lorry on the M25. So, do we treat this as a grade 1 and get officers there on an emergency response with blue lights and sirens, or grade 2, which is getting officers there when they've got time, a slower response? Do we pass it to Highways England and ask them to deal with it? Or do we ask the man for the details of the truck and ask the truck driver or owners to go and retrieve it?
So we'll give you about 30 seconds or so to vote, so think carefully. As you can see the question on the screen there. So we've got a man contacting us, let us know about a wheelbarrow falling off the back of a lorry on the M25 and how should we respond. So 67% of you so far think that should be a grade 1 emergency response, that we should send an officer with the blue lights flashing. And 20% are saying an officer should be sent sort of slower time. None of you have said that Highways England should be contacted, and no one has asked for getting more details from the company that owns the truck. So I think the majority there, 86% now, are saying that should be a grade 1. So let's go back to our Deputy Chief Constable, Mr. Kemp, who will tell you what the actual answer is.
Well, the answer is that we need to get officers there as an emergency because it's clearly a hazard on a fast-moving road, and another car or vehicle could hit that wheelbarrow and there could be a much more serious accident.
Well done to all of you. If you got that question right, certainly 86% of you did, so well done. So next question, back to you, Mr. Kemp.
So So someone's contacted us on Twitter to tell us that they've seen on their CCTV footage that overnight somebody was loitering suspiciously outside their house. So what should we tell them to do with that? Well, we're interested in it. Should we tell them that a police community support officer is going to call round to collect the footage? Should we tell them to contact our occurrence management unit and they'll deal with it? Or our incident review team and they'll deal with it? Or lastly, should we ask them to pop it in the post and send it to us? And the correct...
Okay, so as you can see on the screen there, just as a reminder, someone has messaged us on Twitter to say that they've seen someone on their CCTV footage acting suspiciously outside their house in the middle of the night. So you've got options there. Someone has said send a police community support officer, or PCSO as we call them, to collect the footage. 40% of you think that. 20% say pass it to our occurrence management unit to assess our crimes. 25% are saying to the incident review team, and 13% think pop the CCTV in the post to us. So we're a bit split at the moment in terms of scores. We've got 40% saying PCSO to collect the footage, and it's just gone down now. That's it. That's now 36%. So, okay, so we're a bit split on whether it should go to our incident review team or to call a PCSO. So let's go back to Mr. Kemp and see what the correct answer is.
And the correct answer is we would pass it to our incident review team. They'd make contact with the caller and they would ask them if they could send it to them via a link which they would supply them, and that would be done securely online without any need for an officer to attend.
Okay, so we've got another question from our Deputy Chief Constable. So I think this is a tough one, from memory. So over to you, Mr. Kemp. What have you got for us?
And the correct answer is we would pass it to our incident review team. They'd make contact with the caller and they would ask them if they could send it to them via a link which they would supply them, and that would be done securely online without any need for an officer to attend.
Get them evicted. So in that scenario, how should we respond? And I think almost all of you, in fact all of you, have said ask them to contact Citizen Advice Bureau to get some professional advice on how to manage their arrears. No one has gone for grade 1 emergency response, neither grade 2 or grade 3. So with 100% saying it's Citizens Advice Bureau, let's go back to Mr. Kemp and see if he's got the answer for us this time.
And the answer is the fourth option. We would tell them that they should contact the Citizens Advice Bureau, who will be able to help them. This is not a policing matter. It's a civil matter that we wouldn't ordinarily get involved in.
Okay, so well done to all of you who took part in that. And we're now going to just watch another short video.
Sorry, keep talking, Ali. Sorry.
Sorry, we've got some technical issues. We are not going to watch the video. We'll come back to that later on. So hopefully our quiz has whet your appetite a little bit about working in the contact centre, and we'll come to talk about in a minute, how you may join the service. But I just wanted to talk a little bit more, I guess, about your role. So Cass, how long have you been working for Surrey Police, and what made you want to join and work in the contact department?
So I've worked for Surrey Police now for coming up for 5 years. And I came out of uni and wanted to work in the police. Did a degree related to police work, just saw it advertised and went for it, and I've been here ever since.
Enjoying it so far?
It's been okay, yeah, it's been good. It's very, very varied, day to day, so.
And I guess that's one of the beauties of working in this type of environment. You really feel that you're making a difference. And every single day is different, isn't it? Different challenges, doesn't matter. You don't know what you're coming into every single day.
Yeah, you certainly get jobs even 5 years in. I'm sure it's the same with people who are longer in the service as well. Jobs that catch you out of the blue and you've never dealt with before, or incidents which completely catch you by surprise. So.
Absolutely. And Zoe, you've been here, I think you said 14 years?
14 years.
So you must really enjoy it and feel that, making that difference to people that contact us.
So I actually joined the force when I was 21, and I'll be honest, I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but the opportunity came up, so I got the job here and I absolutely fell in love with it. It's such a rewarding job. I look forward to coming in every day, communicating with people, getting to know people, knowing that you've helped someone in some way or another. Everyone that we work with is fantastic. So I've stuck around for 14 years. I've got no interest in going anywhere else.
Which is great to hear.
I still love it.
So Gemma, how about you then?
I've worked here. I started as an operator when I was 23, came out of university, and I've worked my way up as supervisor and now manager. And I guess I must still enjoy it. I'm still here 16 years later. So, it's a good job, a rewarding job, and definitely something that if you've got an interest in helping people and things like that, it's something that you should get involved in.
Great. Okay. So I think we've now got a VT about Ryan. So Ryan is someone who works within our contact team, and he joined in March this year. We are opening our recruitment window in September this year. If you want to register an interest in joining, you've heard from colleagues here what a great role it is. So please do visit our website to find out more and to register your interest. But in the meantime, let's hear from Ryan, who joined the contact team in March this year.
I ummed and ahed for about 2 years on whether I should join, and my personal circumstances before weren't able for me to join, and I think my regret is I didn't join sooner. Genuinely, I didn't join sooner because I actually feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm feeling like, and I know that I've only been here since March, but I have, because I've had the nitty-gritty calls. I really thought, oh my god, if I get this type of call, like a suicidal caller or a really, really horrible one, that it would be, because there's no point in sugarcoating it. You've got to be kind of thick-skinned to work here, because the stuff that you're going to hear stuff over the phone that you thought that you never would, but it's how you deal with it, and I think you've got to be calm as well. It's a thing, like, you've got to be calm, but also you've got to turn that like energy into, okay, how am I going to help this person? How am I going to not escalate it, etc., etc. Every single call is different. End goal here, that person needs help. Even for the suicide callers, they're calling because they want help. Like, you're their last resort. You're the first person they speak to, but you could be the last person they speak to. So it's how you make that difference. So I took a call a few weeks ago, which was quite a hard-hitting call, and I had 2 supervisors come and check in if I was okay, and then give me information about where I can get support if needed, etc., etc. So the support really is there, and they're like, right, go and take yourself off, get a coffee, chill out, and come back to it as well. So that's what's something that really surprised me as well, because the support that you get is just amazing. So how it works is you have 6 days on. Currently it's 2 earlies, 2 lates and 2 nights, and then you have 4 days off. And there's always something to do. If you're not on calls, you can be climbing. If you're not climbing, you're doing something else, you're helping someone else. The time goes really quickly. There's always something to do. I mean, what I found really weird is taking my lunch break at 3:20 in the morning and thinking, do I eat? Do I not eat? Like, what's the situation? Am I going for lunch? Am I going for breakfast? What am I doing? This is probably the most important role that I've ever had. But for me personally, once I've taken that phone call, and I know that I've done everything that I can possibly do for that person, I'm satisfied, because I don't want to know what's gone on, because once I go home, and I leave it out the door. Enjoy your evening or morning or whatever time you finish, I honestly panicked so much when taking my first call, and now I look back and I think, actually, it's not, obviously nothing's ever going to take away the anxiety of taking a first call. I mean, it's like, you put in nines first of all to really, throw you in at the deep end. And now I come to work and I think no idea what calls I'm going to get today, no idea what's going to go on, how it's going to shape out like. And that is that's what keeps you going, for me anyway. That's what keeps you think, okay, 2 days are the same. So if you're on the fence, this might not be the job for you. But if you're even thinking about even joining, then try it.
So you heard it from Ryan. It's a great job, and you heard it from my colleagues with me in the room today. So it really is one of the best jobs going, in my view. So please, if you are interested, make sure that you look out for our recruitment window and details on our website. So we obviously spoke earlier about the amount of calls that we get into Surrey Police. So 1,000 non-emergency calls every single day and roughly 400 emergencies. So Gemma, I'll come to you first. The strangest call that you've had from a member of the public?
I think there's many, and every operator will be able to reel off at least one at some point. But the one that sticks in mind for me is there was an operator took a call from a student in her dorm room. She'd come home and had a bee in her room, so she rang 999 to ask for us to get rid of the bee. We advised her we weren't going to send officers to come and kill a bee. And she protested, saying, no, I don't want you to kill it, I want you to remove it humanely. And I think we've got a copy of that call for you to hear now.
I'm sorry for bothering
Yeah,
you.
that's all right.
If it was just a spider, I would kill it. But because
Yeah,
it's a
so
bee,
just I was asking, so what do you need from the police at this time?
just to kill the bee.
To kill the bee, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I
just
understand
don't
the
know.
situation. Unfortunately, we would not be able to deploy to kill the bee. And obviously, there
Of
are.
course, the
Yeah.
capture. Yeah, I don't want to kill it, of course.
Yeah. No, so what I'm saying is we wouldn't be able to deploy an officer to come and help you kill the bee in your bedroom, okay? Is there anyone else in the house?
Yes, but all the girls are sleeping, and
I
we
see.
all have uni tomorrow.
Okay. If you just leave your window open, I would assume in time you would fly out.
So there's no one else that can come.
Unfortunately, the police wouldn't be able to come out to kill the bee. So at this time, what I can tell you is to just leave the window a little bit open, and you should fly out.
The window is open. It just stays.
Yeah,
my lamp.
this is not a police matter. So what I would just
Yeah.
so if you could just maybe ask someone else, someone in the house, to help you kill the bee, or just leave the windows open. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you for your call, Dee. Bye bye.
So there you go. Don't phone us if you have a bee in your room. Wasps, completely different. No, I am joking. Please don't call us about bees or wasps. But hopefully that gives you an idea of the types of calls sometimes that our colleagues here do have to deal with. So thanks ever so much for your questions and comments that have been coming in. I've got time for a couple. So firstly, a message from Kevin on Facebook. So thanks for contacting us, Kevin. So your comment is you had a really good service from Surrey Police on Twitter when you passed them information with photographs, and you found the service really helpful and quick. So thanks ever so much, Kevin. So it really goes to the heart of what you were saying earlier then, Amber, about, it is really efficient by contacting us through Twitter and Facebook, etc.
Yeah,
so,
and there's something else as well. If you come through social media, you can actually send pictures as you're talking to us, whereas on the phone you kind of have to I'll email it afterwards or I'll post it in. Whereas if you're saying, I found some criminal damage to my car, you can send us a picture of the car and we can see what's happened there and then.
Brilliant.
Which I think is also very good.
Okay, that's great. So thank you, Kevin, for that. That's great. And a message we've had from Fleur on YouTube. So Fleur asks, and this one's to you, Gemma, what do you do if you have too many 999 calls coming in? Do they get answered by the fire and ambulance service?
It's a good question. No, they don't get answered by the fire and ambulance service. We will, all of our operators will be prepared to take 999 calls. We will always prioritise the 999 calls. Luckily, thankfully, it's very, very rare that we would have so much that we cannot answer them. We would put all of our agents in to answer if we had an influx of that. If we had a situation, so obviously, for example, in the metropolitan area, if they had a situation with the terrorist instance and things like that, they're obviously inundated. We have buddy forces where they may overflow to a neighbour force, so we would pick up for the Met. Sussex assist us, we assist Sussex, and things like that. So there will never be a situation where you would ring 909 and no one would answer.
And thankfully, as you say, having to use those buddy forces would be a very, very rare occasion.
Very rare.
Okay. So thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Fleur, for those. And with all good things, we are running out of time. But so I'd like to thank Gemma, Amber, Zoe, and Cass for joining me this evening, and to all of you at home for watching Surrey Live. I did say right at the beginning of the show that we would be coming to our Dog of the Week. So I'm going to pass over now to PC Beasley and police dog Reno, hopefully I've pronounced that right, in relation to a missing person that they found in a lake back in May this year.
Good girl. I'm PC Beasley and this is my partner, police dog Reno. In April we were called to a high-risk missing person in the Claygate area. Reno, he'd been reported missing by his mum. Good girl. Sit. He'd left the home address making threats to harm himself. So we were called to assist with a search for the male. Unfortunately, we had no direction of travel and he'd left the home address an hour or so before the call came in, and we had no idea where he'd gone, not taking his mobile phone, so there's no way of tracking him. On the previous occasion he was found over a bridge over the A3, so we decided to come to Roxy Close. This call came in about 11 o'clock I think it was at night, so when we've got down here it was pitch black, and yeah, we've got to this point, and then I've shone my torch over the bridge and couldn't see anything at all, and I've just come round with Reno and she's pulled me to this bollard here, and that's where we found a jumper. I've called up describing what the jumper looked like, and it was confirmed that it was actually the missing person's jumper. So from there I've just cast my dog around and she's picked up a scent which has gone over the bridge. She's picked up a track going right down here, and then we've continued to track parallel to the A3, where I was told by the control room that there's a big fishing lake down here. We've got to this point and she's continue on tracking down this lane here. It's nice to kind of come back and just think how amazing she is. Like, she's picked up that jumper and she's tracked all the way down here. Yeah, as you can see, a lot of barbed wire. I don't even know how Reno got underneath there, but she managed to squeeze her way underneath, and she's just free tracked down to the water's edge. She's indicated, I think there was the guy's boots, some shorts, there was some money, and there was a mask as well. Inside I'm panicking because I'm thinking, well, this guy's, he's in the water, but on the outside I need to stay calm and focused. I've got to remember what I'm here to do. I'm trying to save this guy. Call up on the radio to say what I found. I need more units. I need to get empaths here. And then when empaths arrived, they've found a heat source. So basically, just off centre in the middle of the lake, there's an island, and the gentleman was just off the island in the water, and we've called up for a boat to come down, because really we're not meant to go into the water, but you've got to think this, you know, this is a life and death situation. We need to get to this guy. I don't know how long he's been in the water. So myself, another officer, and Reno went into the water, and it was freezing. I remember when I went in, it took my breath away. It was so cold. And I was really unsure about what to do with Reno. Like, do I let her come with me, or do I tie her up against a tree? So I thought, no, I'll just let her come with me. And she was great. She just, I think she was just having a great time. She was just swimming. She loves to swim. So she was just swimming with me, and stayed by me the whole entire time. And when we got to the male, he was freezing. He was just shaking. He couldn't speak. He couldn't really move. So we've had to basically carry him out of the water, over the island, back into the water. And then when we got there, there were some firefighters that were there, and they helped us all out and gave him medical attention. And when Reno went out, she just went and found her ball and just ran off. She's just, yeah, having a great time. I don't really think she knew what was going on. She's never seen that, you know, that scenario before. So it was all new to me and her. But yeah, she did amazing. I was told later on that the guy had been in the water for about an hour. So for her to pick up a track over different terrain, go through, you know, obstacles, I was just, you know, I'm in awe of her. She's amazing. I just think she's great. I love her to bits.